How's it going, YouTube? So I've seen that a couple of YouTubers have been posting their manga collection updates after the end of 2016, and I figured I'd go ahead and do a manga collection as well. My collection has grown quite a bit this past year, but mainly this is in response to OMG Chris, who was curious about my backdrop in all of the videos I usually post. So I want to thank him for giving me the nudge to try and put this out. And if you're watching this, I guess I was able to upload it successfully. I'll just try to get into it. So I've moved the camera all the way down to the bottom shelf. It's very uncomfortable down here. And I'll try not to stumble as much through this. First up, this is a short story collection by Naoki Urasawa, published by Planeta de Angostini. That is a Spanish publisher, and that collects a lot of his earliest short stories from like 80, 81 to 85. And next here we have a Mobile Suit Gundam, The Origin, all 12 Isoban editions that were published by Vertical. And next to The Origin here I have one volume series of Mobile Suit Gundam Blue Destiny. It's from the early mixed line of Tokyo Pop. And next to that, I have all 8 volumes of House of Five Leaves by Natsume Ono. Kind of an unorthodox manga creator. And right next to it, we have Biomega, all 6 volumes of Biomega. That's it for the bottom shelf. And I'll move up to the next one. And here we have the second shelf. This group right here is all from Spanish publishers. These first 7 are by Glenat. These first 3 are by Hiroshi Hirata. This is Satoichi. Broken Promises. And Honor of a Samurai. He was known for his Gekiga work. And these 4 are by Motofumi Kobayashi. Here's Operation Barbarossa, Kampfergruppen. Here's Volume 0 of Cat Shit 1. And this is Omega 7. And these next 2 are by Planeta de Angostini, or just Planeta Comics, I believe. 2 single volumes from Akira Toriyama. This is Kajika and Neko Machin. And this is a 2-in-1 of Takeshi Obata adaptation of All You Need Is Kill. The 2 volumes of 21st Century Boys, Resident Evil, Marhala Desire by Naoki Shirizawa, Solanin by Inyo Asano, Not Simple by Natsume Ono. These are all by Natsume Ono. Here is Restaurante Paradiso, and this is La Quinta Cámara. And next to La Quinta Cámara we have her short story collection, Danza. Street Fighters Gaiden 1 and 2 by Mami Ito. Here's more Mami Ito. This is Maleficarium, which is a Darkstalkers adaptation. Here's Frontline by the creator of Grey, Yoshihisa Tagami. And next to Frontline is Metal Guardian Faust by Tetsuro Oyama. And here's Volume 0 of Dogs, which is a prelude to Dogs, Bullets, and Carnage. Right here we have some Masamune Shiro. This is his Black Magic. Here is Orion. And here is the bilingual edition of Shiro's Ghost in the Shell, published by Kodansha in Japan. Next to Ghost in the Shell here, I have the single volume manga of Hoi Hoi San. This was published by Infinity Studios. It is a single volume manga. Next to that, I have Mayoko Ano's Enclosed Call Fat. Next to that, we have the 2-volume collection of Gray by Yoshihisa Tagami. Next to Gray, I have an upside down volume of Olympus by Aki. Next to that, we have, of course, some Satoshi Kon books. This, of course, is Seraphim. I got Opus. These last two are by Keiji Suruta. This is a very recent release of Wandering Island. And this is a very old release of Spirit of Wonder. Onto the next shelf. Here's the third shelf in the bookcase. And we start off with Junji Ito's Fragments of Horror. Very nice hardcover. Next to that, I have a single volume of Jun Abe, adaptation of Alice in Wonderland. And of course, here is Naoki Urasawa's Monster, all 9 volumes of the 2-in-1s. Planetes by Makoto Yumimura. Next to that, Twilight of the Dark Masters. This is by Saki Okuse. Next to that, I got Atom Cat by Osamu Tezuka. Here is the Ice Wanderer and Other Stories by Jiro Taniguchi. Another Mayoko Ano 1-volume series here. Insufficient Direction. I have the 2 volumes of Riot. This is another old Viz title. This is actually by Satoshi Shiki, which is due in the spin-off Attack on Titan Before the Fall. Here is the single volume of Dragon Wars by Ryuki Hei. And that's from Iron Cat Studios. And here is Dream Fossil by Satoshi Kon. More short story collections. Next to that, Junji Ito's Cat Diary, Yun and Moon. And next to that, we have Kenichi Sonoda's Canon God Hexation. I have the first volume of Quinn and Meraldus, Happiness here, by Shuzo Oshima. Here at the end, I have Time Killers by Kazue Koto. So there's a third shelf. So here's the fourth shelf. This is the whole series of Holic by Clamp. Next to that, I have Dead Man Wonderland, and the whole 13 volumes of Dead Man Wonderland. Next to that is the 5 volumes of Kingdom Hearts 358/2. And next to Kingdom Hearts, I have a ROD, Read or Die. This is a 4-volume series. Here in the corner is The God's Lie by Kaori Osaki. I'll move on to the last 2 shelves in the bookcase. And here's the second to last shelf in the bookcase. Here we have all 20 volumes of Bakuman. Next to that, there's the 4 volumes of Zombie Powdered by Tite Kubo. Next to that, there's Barrage, 2 volumes by Kohei Horikoshi. What I found interesting is that Viz kind of didn't care much for these volumes because they didn't bother to change the sound effects for some reason. More Akira Toriyama, single volume books. This is Kawa. And next to that, there's Sandland, Jocko, the Galactic Patrolman, which came out pretty recently. Kamiya Dori. This was a 5-volume series by Kei Senbei. Then we have Maria the Virgin Witch by Masayumi Ishikawa. This was a 3-volume series. And then there's this 4th volume, which is kind of a prologue. Next to that, there is the 2 volumes of Monster Soul, the 2 volumes of Witchblade Takeru, which is by Kazasa Sumita. This was by Bandai Entertainment. But on to the last shelf in the bookcase. And here is the last shelf on the bookcase. Here's Gunsmith Cats. This is the 4 2-in-1s that were collected by Dark Horse. And then you have Burst, which was another additional 5 volumes that he wrote after he was done with the Canon annexation. But next to that, there's a Gigantomaxia by Kentaro Miura. This was a single volume that came out pretty recently as well. Next to that, there is the Fooly Cooly Omnibus. And this is a short story collaboration dealing with Evangelion. There's a lot of different creators on there. And here we have another Spanish volume. This is published by Ibrea. This is the Terraform Mars spin-off on one of the characters. Next to that, there's the 15 volumes of Knights of Sidonia. Next to that is the 3 volumes of Prophecy. Hero Man. It is with an original concept by Stan Lee. And here is the 3 volume series of Samurai Man by Naoki Shirizawa. This was 3 volumes published by Anime Works. That's it for this shelf. So I'll move on to the next one. And here is the next bookcase. This bookcase contains probably the last few completed series. After that, there's a lot of ongoing stuff that I'm picking up. But first up here, we got some more Satoshi Kon. This is Tropic of the Sea. Next to that, there is Afro Samurai, the 2 volumes of Afro Samurai. That was published by Salmon Seas. Next to that, there is Dark Water, which is a 3-story collection that adapts the movie, I think. Next to that, there is 3 volumes of Sword of the Dark Ones by CMX. Also probably out of print. And another 3 volume series which was titled Apocalypse Meow, but this is Motofumi Kobayashi's Cat Shit one. And here are the 2 volumes of Gil. This is the earlier release. I believe there's a 2-in-1 hardcover now. Next to that, another 2 volume series. This is Mobile Suit Gundam, The Lost War Chronicles. And here is I think it's a collection of short stories adapting Pete Guy J. And here is Noise, Morsta Munihe. And then we have the 4 volumes of Testarossa, more Keisenbei. There is the 3 volume series of Tomodachi Monster. Here's more Salmon Seas. This is Haven't You Heard? I'm Sakamoto, all 4 volumes. And here is Emerald. And this is a collection of short stories by Hiroaki Samura. Next to that, there is Undercurrent, which is upside down. This is Undercurrent. This is published by Milky Way Editions, so it is another Spanish publisher. Let me move on to the next shelf. Here is the second shelf in this bookcase. Here is the omnibus editions of Genshiken that collects the 6 volumes of the first series. And here is the 9 volumes of the second season of the series. Next to that, there's 8 volumes of Attack on Titan Before the Fall. I'll move on to the next shelf. So on to the third shelf in the bookcase. I have here Shigurui, volumes 1 through 10, published by Ibrea, so it is another Spanish publishing. Next to that, we have New Lone Wolf and Cub, a single volume. Next to that, we have a short story collection by Boichi. Next to that, there's Ichiefu, the first volume. This, of course, is by Norma Editorial, another Spanish publication, but I believe it's getting a release now by Yen Press. Next to that is Dragon, Multiple Bullets. Next to that, we have 4 volumes of Livingston, and has art by Jinsei Kataoka, which of course did the art for Dead Man Wonderland. And here we have 4 volumes of I'll Noah Zero, which I think basically it just adapts the anime, I believe. Here is the first omnibus of I Am a Hero. Next to that is Trigun. It collects a completed series. And I'll move on to the next shelf. Here is the 4th shelf in this bookcase. We have 7 volumes of Wolfsmund. It's written by Mitsuhisa Kuji. She was an assistant to Kentaro Miura on Berserk, I believe. Next to that, there is 12 volumes of Triage X. And next to that, 9 volumes of Your Lie in April. On to the last shelf in the case. And here's the last shelf on this bookcase. I got here the first 2 volumes of Hellsing. Then here I have Toto, The Wonderful Adventures. It's 5 volumes. I have all 5, but I've only read these first 4. Then I have a single volume of A Silent Voice. Then I have 7 3-in-1s of Bleach. Next to that, I have Ajin, Demi-Human, which is a very good seinen. This is 8 volumes of the series. There's the first 2 shelves. Why don't I move on to the side shelf that I have next to these? I don't know how well you could see this shelf here. This shelf has a lot of random volumes. It's kind of tucked away back here. But most of these are series that I either just found random volumes or thought I was going to get into them and didn't. Like this one here, Ratman. This is a Tokyo Pop title. Next to that, there's a single volume of Battle Royale. That's volume 2. Next to that, there's a 1 volume of Rose Hip Rose. Kikaidero 2. Some more Gundam. This is Colette de Ciel. That's volume 6. Sundome volume 2. Very ecchi series. Jack Frost volume 5. This is a manga. Volume 8 of Soul Eater. Volume 1 of Batum. Volume 8 of Sayonara Sotsubo Sensei. Very random. This is a volume 2 of Setsubo Sensei. 1 volume of Kurohime, volume 1, I believe. This is by 7 Seas. It's not really a manga. It's a manga style American volume. Then already we got volume 1 of Parasite, and then volume 2 and 3 of Trigun Maximum. Who knows if I'll just get rid of most of these. I'm not sure. But let me move up a bit. Up on this other shelf, I have the first 10 volumes of MPD Psycho. Next to that, I have the first 2 volumes of Naoki Urasawa's Pluto. I have this big cumbersome volume of Lone Wolf and Cub. This is a 3-in-1. Here we have 2 volumes of Berserk, 1 and 2. On to the last shelf on this case here. And here is the last shelf in this little bookcase here. More random volumes. I got some Samurai X here, which is Rurouni Kenshin, and some Saint Seiya. These 3 are actually published by Bid, which was a Mexican publisher. This is Ninja Nonsense, I believe, was the English title. This is a random volume. This is number 2. This is also by Infinity Studios, like the Hoi Hoi San manga. The first 2 volumes of Dorohedoro. First volume of The Sacred Blacksmith. Volume 5 of Basilisk. Volume 1 of Boyer Inc. Here we have Volume 2 of Blade of the Immortal. Here's one random volume, Volume 6 of Seraphim Feather. And then I have 2 hentai volumes of Adventure Kid, which I probably never will read again, but that's all the manga here. I do have the Ronin here. Yeah, let me move on to the next bookcase. So here is basically the third and final bookcase. I do have a couple of the larger format volumes and with the graphic novels, which I'll get into last. But let me finish off with this final bookcase of manga. Here is the first 6 volumes that have been released of Ultraman. Then we have 7 volumes of Gangsta by Kosuke. Then we have 10 volumes of Black Lagoon. And of course the last ones here on the shelf are Mobile Suit Gundam 0079. It's an adaptation by Kazuhisa Kondo. There is 9 volumes of this before Viz canceled it. I doubt they'll ever reprint it. Down to the next shelf, onto the second shelf on the bookcase here. Here is 16 volumes of 7 Deadly Sins. Here we have 5 volumes of Inuyashiki by Hiroya Oku. And here's 2 random volumes of Revenge of Mothloan. This is a pretty old title. This is actually by Raijin Comics. I'll move on to the next shelf. So here's the third to last shelf on this bookcase. Here's 13 volumes of Yotsuba. Next to that we have the 7 volumes of Blood Blockade Battlefront, BBB, by Nieto, also the creator of Trigun. Here are 6 volumes of Apocalypse Zero by Takayuki Yamaguchi. This is by Anime Works. And I'll move on to the next shelf. And these last 2 shelves is basically the most recent stuff that I've been getting. I'm sure if you go into the manga halls, you'll find most of this stuff. You know, museum. 2 volumes of it. Here's the first volume I've already read. Here's a single volume of Samurai Crusader. The last volume of Toto. Green Blood, the first 4 of 5, but I only have the first 4. These are by Milky Way. These are by Norma. Here's some more Milky Way. This is Bestiarius by the same creator as Green Blood, which is Masasumi Kakisaki. Here's a short story collection of a collaboration between Akira Toriyama and Masakazu Katsuri. And basically, I think Toriyama gave Katsura some ideas, and he said just run with it. Here's the first volume of Welcome to the Ballroom. This is actually not manga. This is Old City Blues by Giannis Milano Giannis. Next to that, the first 3 volumes of Dance Till Tomorrow by Naoki Yamamoto. Here's volume 2 of Happiness. I don't know if I mentioned that. The first volume of Mobile Suit Gundam Thunderbolt. The first volume of The Ghost and the Lady. And the 3 prestige format editions of Tomu by Katsuhiro Otomo. Down to the last shelf here. Here's the last shelf of the manga collection before I get into the larger formatted books. Here is Neon Genesis Evangelion. This is the first four 2-in-1s. Book 1 of Cardcaptor Sakura by Clamp. This, I believe, is a 3-in-1. Here's another 3-in-1. This is Daiwurgen by Hiroaki Samura. And here's the first 8 volumes of Nabari no O. It's by Yen Press. And here's 3 random volumes of Helsing. There's number 4, number 6, and number 8. Here is the last manga haul that was for December. You could always go back and check that one out. And here's what is on my reading pile. Down at the bottom is The Two Faces of Tomorrow. Next to that is the last volume of Neon Genesis Evangelion, Volume 10 of July and April. The second omnibus of I Am a Hero, and Filaments, a short story collection by Yuki Urushibara, which is published by Mukiway, so it's another Spanish publication. Then we get into the last parts of the collection. And here we have a good amount of Shonen Jump and Yen Pluses. I was subscribed to both of them. Over here we have the 10 prestige format editions of 2001 Space Knights by Yukinobu Hoshino. Here is a single volume of a Robot, published by Udon, I believe. It's basically another anthology, much like a Shonen Jump or Yen Plus. And over here next to it was Intron Depot, which is the art book by Shiro Masamune. And right here is a single volume of Silent Mebius by Kaya Samiya. Let me move on to the last books. And here, along with the graphic novels, is the 5 volumes of Akira. And of course, here's the first volume of Blame by Tsutomu Nihei. And here are a few more to end the video, basically. This is another short story collection by Yukinobu Hoshino. Next to that we have 2 volumes of Nausicaa of the Valley of the Wind. Here is a short story anthology by Katsuhiro Otomo. Outlander, Volume 1 and 2 by Joji Manabe. And here's Dominion by Masamune Shiro. Over here, we've got some really older stuff. Some Space Adventure Cobra here. A single issue of Rumik World by Rumiko Takahashi. And this, I believe, is the whole series of Lost Continent by Akihiro Yamada, published by Eclipse International. And here we have Horobi by Yoshihisa Tagami, which did Gray. It was, I believe, a 4-volume series. And that's basically it. Oh, here's the Ghost in the Shell Human Error Processor, Wolverine Snicket by Tsutomu Nihei. 1 volume of Super Manga Blast. The Walking Band by Chiro Taniguchi. And Nijigahara Holograph by Inyo Asano. And finally X Volume 1, which is probably the only volume. And that's basically all of the manga that I have. Thank you very much for watching.